Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Norbits Adventures. Today we're having a discussion about gender and how we can tell the difference between male and female in Bristlenose. I've got some special guests that I've just got back from picking up that I'll be showing you after as well. So I hope you enjoy the video. Now, with most Bristlenose, it's pretty easy to tell the difference between a male and female. Recently, I've been in discussion with someone that thought because the Bristlenose have the bristles, it must mean it is a male, which is a common misconception. Whether it's a albino, whether it's a common red, super red, lemon, even the orange spots, and you can even go as far as saying the peppermint Bristlenose, which are actually plecos, L numbers. They all can and will grow bristles. It just depends on where it is located on the face or the head, which determines sort of what the gender is. Basically, the best way to describe it is if the around about 6 months is when they start growing their bristles, and the males grow out around their lip or the front of their face, and they grow like a mohawk. I like calling it a mohawk anyway, but they grow over the top of their face as well. Whereas the females, not all, but most, can grow bristles, and they grow the bristles around their lip of their face. And a lot of people ask the question of, well, it's got bristles, so it must be male. Again, not the case. The difference between a dominant male and a male or a submale inside of a colony also it determines how big the bristles are sometimes as well. So if you've got a dominant male in the tank that's got a large set of bristles and it's going everywhere and it's looking magnificent, he's usually the more dominant male inside the tank. But so especially with my orange spots, I've got about 5 males in the tank. One of them's obviously dominant because that's normally how it works, but they've all got really dominant sort of bristles along the face, while the females in the tank have shorter, sort of pointier bristles along the lip of their face. Same with sort of my albino colonies and my super reds as well. The males, I've got that really distinct mohawk with the bristles, as well as the lip with the females. So it doesn't always happen with the females. This, which is a normal thing. A lot of people think, because it's got no bristles, it's a female. So the second easiest way to tell if the Bristlenose you have is a male or a female is that the males grow spikes on the end of their fins. Obviously on their side fins, they have spikes. Depending on how old they are and obviously how dominant they are, it depends on how big they grow. I've seen some good 8 centimeter, 9 centimeter Bristlenose with some large spikes. These spikes are basically developed to beat off predators or trying to get into the cave to eat the eggs, or obviously they use it to fight each other to become more dominant inside the tank. In regards to them being more dominant as well, it doesn't always have to be the largest male in the tank. I've seen many cases, especially in my colonies, that just because the male is the biggest doesn't mean he's the more dominant, or mean he's the one that's breeding with the females. Especially with the peppermints, one of the smallest males actually is the more dominant one, and he's the one that's looking after the eggs, and he's the one that's been breeding. It doesn't always determine who has the eggs and who looks after the eggs. They all could start breeding together. Obviously it depends on if the female likes the cave and such, but yeah, so that's another good point of pointing out as well, which is a male and a female. Size wise, it's a bit contradictory. So I've read a few things saying that the males are usually bigger than the females, or the females are got a broader body, or I honestly believe it's a bit more of a genetic thing, and it can be distinguished by a lot of different sort of problems, or as they grow up, or their genetics, or a whole bunch of different things that changes the size, the shape of the way they look. Predominantly the males are the bigger ones, only because obviously they don't have to produce eggs and all a bunch of stuff. I just think it's more of a, they can worry about growing more than producing eggs and such. But so within saying that, there's also some females out there that can get pretty big. Again, determining on age as well as the growth rate and such like that. Most of the males that I've seen coming up through from fry to juvenile stage, excuse me, they don't start growing their bristles until about 4 to 6 months. That's when they come into their sort of sub-adult age. They can start fighting and trying to become the more dominant one in the tank really early as well. I've had a few people message me going, why are they doing this? Why they look like they're fighting? All you need to worry about, it's normal, unless they really do some damage and start properly hitting each other. Obviously, again, when they're older with the spikes, that does do some damage when they're actually fighting properly. So, if you add a new male to the tank, you've obviously got to wait and pay attention and watch, just to make sure that they aren't going to rip each other apart. So regarding the males as well, they tend to sit in caves when they're older as well. They like sitting at the front of caves and making themselves a home. Within saying that, females do occasionally sit in the caves as well, but when it comes to sort of breeding and maintaining the cave, you'll see the males sitting in the front of the cave with their back fins fanning, and obviously they won't let anything else inside the cave. So that's another key point with making sure, or finding out which is a male and which is a female. Oh, almost forgot to mention, where most bristlenose, they also like growing large sort of spiky bits in their gills as well. My personal opinion is that the males do grow larger ones, obviously for that fight and flight mode where they beat each other up and make it more dominant in the tank, whereas the females are a bit smaller. That's my personal opinion. I know that it can again vary depending on genetics as well. So here we go with the ones my new friends. I'm going to show you these. I picked these up today from a guy shutting down his tanks. These guys are a proven breeding pair, and so the male is smaller than the female, but again, like I spoke to you before, it doesn't always determine on when they're going to breed and how they're going to breed. So here you go, I just got these guys out of the tank after they've been acclimating. So that one there, as you can see, it's a female. Nice colour. There's a large fins, and see obviously you can see the bristles around the top of the lip. So she's a bit more of a snubby nose than normal, but that could be a genetic thing, or that also could be the fact that just trying to push out of the egg sac when she was young. So over here we got the male. Obviously, straight away you can see the difference in bristlenose. So the bristles. He is definitely smaller than the female, but you can see by the bristles itself, they're bigger, there's more of them, and it goes all the way up to the top of the head there, as you can see, just there. He's still a bit young, but around that area there, the tip of the fins on both sides, as you can see, there's a little bit more of a spikiness on the fins compared to sort of the female's fins. Again, that's due to the whole fight and flight mode where they like fighting with each other. So yeah, these guys here are going into my super red colony, as I lost one of the females a few weeks back. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you these guys and basically explain that, yeah, that's a male, but just because it's got bristles doesn't mean it's a male. So when transporting these guys from obviously here to the tank, I don't do the whole tip the water in with it as well. I usually just take them out. People can do this with nets. They tip the water into the net and then they basically get these guys and tip them in, the whole prop and drop method. As these guys, again, I've shown you where they've got spikes and such, sometimes they get caught in the nets and it can be very dangerous with pulling them out of the nets. So I usually just go hands-on, obviously after washing my hands, making sure my hands are all clean, and obviously not carrying any bacteria and such. But obviously you want to, it's basically two 2-point method I usually run with. You basically you get the top of the head and top of the stomach area, and basically it's like this. You pinch together, and it's the safest way to get them out. Yeah, it can be a bit pain in the ass and a bit scary sometimes, but yeah, there you go. That's a female there, beautiful colour, nice colour. Off she goes. And now for the male. So when you're getting them, they do splash around a bit, and obviously because you're trying to grab them, they don't like it, which is normal for fish once you get more handling. But yeah, so if you can see there you go, that's the massive spikes I was telling you about, the male. So he's a beautiful, nice colour as well. And off he goes into the water. Now obviously a lot of people don't like handling their fish like that, and some people get a bit antsy about the whole, well, you shouldn't be grabbing them like that. It's safer for you and the fish to basically do that pinch method. Obviously you're not going to like squeezing a pimple, you're not trying to pop its head off, but you know, gently just grabbing on the top of the head and underneath the mouth. It's the best way, so you avoid the spikes, you avoid hurting the fish, and you avoid hurting yourself. So obviously in the next few hours I'm going to be watching that tank. I've obviously got a dominant male in that tank, and I think there's three males now in that tank out of 9, sorry, because I've got just added 2 more to the 7. So I'm going to watch that tank, make sure there's no fighting or anything else. Obviously there'll be a little bit of a scuffle, but there should be enough caves in there so they can all be happy and move on and basically become neighbours. So yeah, that's it for this video today. Hopefully I've answered all your questions about gendering Bristlenose as well. During this video I have noticed that the actual Super Red tank's heater was down at 20, so I've just turned that up. So you know, if you learn anything from this video, it's always to make sure you check your heaters as well. Obviously that's been left like that for last time I cleaned the tank, or cleaned the heater. So bit of a mistake on my hand, but obviously hasn't affected the tank all too much, as it's a 4-foot tank divided in 2, and there's a heater in each side, so it's still around the 23 mark. I've obviously moved the oldest Super Red fry over to the grow out tank recently, so I've got 26 Super Reds in that tank now as well, so they're growing out. Hopefully in the next month or so I'll be selling them. As for the rest, there's still about a good old 20 odd in the tank that I still haven't been able to catch, and the secondary box as well, which has probably got about 50 in there that I can count anyway. So that will be good to go up soon. Just waiting for them to get the size. But yeah, so as always, if I've left anything out or you want to discuss anything, send me a message, comment below, and we'll have a good old chat about it. But as you know, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out, and I'll see you guys next time.